Jim Bowden, who's a former GM in baseball, now he works for The Athletic. He did the best remaining free agents list and where he thinks they should go and what kind of is the best fit. And the Phillies popped up on one of the right-handed bats, utility man, Whit Merrifield. This is what Jim Bowden had to say about Whit Merrifield and the Phillies. I've felt all offseason that his best landing spot would be with Philadelphia, where he can be the 10th player, in quotes, filling in at second and in left field with the ability to also play some third base, center, right field, and DH. And when you put it in perspective like that, like Whit Merrifield, I think was like a .7 WAR last year. He's not like that exciting, but the fact that he can play pretty much every single position for you, I think is perfect. Would I prefer an Eddie Rosario, a more true outfielder that can play center and left for you and give you some more insurance? Sure. But the idea of giving Stott a day off, giving Bohm a day off, going into right and giving Castellanos a day off, who really hasn't had many people that can play right field the last 2 years, it's really appealing. If the Phillies are going to bring somebody else in, the versatility of Whit Merrifield is pretty damn appealing.
Listen, I've been saying this since last year when we were talking about some names that we could see as good additions for the Phillies. Jordan Montgomery and Whit Merrifield were two of my guys that I remember listing for that exact reason. For the fact that this group has the core already established, the talent's already there of a win-now team. You just need some pieces, veteran pieces, versatile pieces, guys that have won before, guys that have been in the league for several years that are major league ready. Someone like Whit Merrifield, which is the exact same reason I like Jordan Montgomery. I know we all do, obviously. But it's more than just the talent, because as we know, to win a championship, it's got to be a mixture of a few things. The chemistry, the hunger and intensity, of course, the talent, understanding game management. We just saw that in the Super Bowl, which is why the 49ers ended up losing a few different things they did wrong in mismanaging the game. They lose to the Chiefs. You need to have guys that in those big moments know what to do, can be on the same page. And a Whit Merrifield, who's not a flashy name and not, someone that you're going to jump off the page excited about, would be a solid addition just when you talk about around the edges for what he can bring. So I like the fact that he's been tied to the Phillies, again, because if you have a chance to bring in a 35-year-old Whit Merrifield who's going to be that versatile plug-in piece wherever needed, I think it would be absolutely beneficial for the Phillies.
Tyler, your thoughts on Whit Merrifield?
I've been super interested in Whit Merrifield for a while now. Now, granted, again, you're not going to get Royals second baseman Whit Merrifield. No. You're getting Toronto Blue Jays utility guy Whit Merrifield. But I think that there's so much value in having a Whit Merrifield on a good roster where you know that this guy at any given moment could play left, could play center, could play second. To have a guy that can give you a multitude of positional value is so significant, specifically when your bench stinks as bad as it does. He's another one of those guys that when the three of us talked about players that we think are probably going to get higher value contracts than the Phillies are going to offer, another guy, we talked about it yesterday, another guy who the longer he sits around, the more likely that a team like the Phillies, and maybe not the Phillies, but a team like the Phillies who are looking for a 10th player are going to get this guy on a really team-friendly deal.
And
he makes a ton of sense.
I was going to say, in addition to his versatility, I had to find the numbers in my notes. Of course, as you mentioned, he is 35 now. He's not the same Whit Merrifield, but his numbers are still great. When you look at the last 8 seasons, strikeout percentage of 15.9%, of course, with the league average being around 22%. And also, he's a guy that can just give you good at-bats, steady at-bats of making contact, not striking out, keeping innings alive. So even on the offensive side with the at-bats he can give, he's not going to be someone smashing the ball out of the ballpark, but he's going to be, and I know in the chat I'm seeing someone that could be a pinch, can pinch run. He can do a lot of different things, and he can be that true utility piece. Who is that guy right now?
I'd rather him than Jake
exactly.
/ Nick Cave.
Exactly. We've talked about it. We don't want that to be Jake Cave.
Yeah.
It's a huge upgrade over Cave on both sides of the ball. So I think to see his name brought up again, it's exciting. He finished the season hitting .272, posting an average of .232 in August, a .194 average in September. Whit Merrifield's come on to Philly.
It's, by the way, it's a guy that over the course of his career has a strikeout rate of under 16%, and the last 2 seasons, the highest of his career, with the exception of his rookie season, they went all the way up to 17 and 18%.
Right,
he's
which
a ball
is still
player.
lower than most of the league.
He's a ball player. He's a guy you like having on your roster. Just plain and simple.
It's professional at bats, and listen, he's not going to walk a ton. His 272 to 318 OBP it's not a stark contrast.
It'll give you good at bats.
He only walked 36 times last year. Struck out 101 times, just the 4th time in his career that he struck out over 100 times in a season. I don't think that there's a downside to signing a guy like Whit Merrifield.
Exactly.
When you have the glaring need of a super utility 10th type guy.
And his market is projected the value around $6.4 million, guys.
That's a steal for me.
That's not a lot of money.
Yeah, like I don't want to
million.
rely on the trade deadline, because with this 3rd-team wild card now, you've seen the past couple of years that the trade deadline doesn't yield you as many options anymore as it used to. You know, you used to be able to go out and get a Corey Dickerson at the deadline who steps in and becomes one of your better players in the second half of the year. Now so many teams aren't dead and are still in it